Hi, everyone. This is a spoiler warning for 1974's action crime film R18 plus Stone. I just looked up the Google for it. But yeah, we're spoiling this plot. It's a really great movie, 20th episode of USS with a very special guest. So tune in and strap on. Let's go for it.
I am the Night Rider.
You're terrible, Muriel.
Talk to me.
You gonna do that pogo?
You've been talking to the cops. Today is a brand new day.
No, that's it. It's the vibe.
G'day, fellow Aussie film lovers, and welcome to another episode of Under Southern Screens, the most buried standing up Australian cinema podcast. I'm Mitch.
And I'm Matthew, and what a day, what a fun-filled day. It's our 20th episode. How crazy is
Very
this?
exciting.
Much applause.
And to celebrate 20th episode that we totally knew was the case before we started recording.
It's not like we've lost count or anything, but...
Well, we're doing Stone, and we have a special guest to do Stone with us.
We wanted someone who's really special for this episode.
Special, knows a lot about film.
Some might say if he wasn't here, this podcast might not exist.
Some would say that. He could be considered the grandfather of the pod. It is my dad, Clinton.
Welcome to the pod, Clinton. How are you?
Thank you, Mitch. Thank you, Matthew. That's a lovely greeting.
Oh, absolutely.
We had to get you on.
We did. We have to. We'll get
after you recommended. What was the film you recommended?
10 Canoes.
10 Canoes. Yeah,
yes.
It was like a must.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dad, I know by trade you're not a filmmaker, but you've shot a few home videos and stuff like that.
That's it.
So my question is this a two-part question? Number one,
yes.
What is the best thing you've ever shot? And part two to that, why is it the multi-part docu-series of me chasing pigeons around Europe?
Oh my gosh.
You mean you're talking still photography, of course?
No, you took video as well when we were
that was only for a short. That was just for a short period of time, as we're in
He
Europe.
dabbled. You
realized you were too good though, and you were gonna put George Miller out of the job. I
don't know. I just like cameras. I've always had still cameras that take lots of photography. So I thought, this is back in 2003, 2002. And so for the holiday, we decided to take a video camera with us instead of taking still photos.
Was that in the era of mini DV or like...
No, little mini tapes. Yeah.
There you go. What an era.
Yeah, we've got 22 of them. Still got them.
Well, Clinton, if you can get me some footage of Mitch chasing pigeons, I would really appreciate it. Not for any blackmail or anything, but you know.
Of course not.
I'm proud of it. There's nothing to blackmail me with. I think I showed those pigeons what's up, who's boss, all of the above.
You know, if Mitch makes it big as like a filmmaker, that footage is going to be used in like the early days section of the documentary of
Mitchell
his life.
was always bound for film.
And there has to be that feathered bird in there somewhere with me.
Yeah, exactly. Always.
This movie... This is one that you picked, Clinton, right? Stone?
Yes.
Why did you pick this film? Because it is I'd never heard of it before. It is such a unique pick and one that was so rewarding. I loved it personally. But yeah, tell me about how you first came across this film and why you brought it to us today.
Well, it was shot in Sydney in 73, released in 74.
Yes, right, yeah.
So I was about 14 years of age. It's rated R.
Nice.
So I didn't get a chance to see it. And that's for violence, nudity, one sex scene, which you don't see, it's under a blanket, and drugs. So I assume that's what's got the R rating.
And so as a 14-year-old, that you're like, this movie ticks all the boxes.
I want to see this movie. It's not fair. So getting to my mid-20s, early 80s, 82, 83, somewhere, or maybe 84, I saw it first off a VHS tape in an old Sony Triniton 21-inch cathode ray tube TV.
That's awesome.
So that was my introduction, and I thought, this is so gritty, and it's just unbelievable. And the stunts, you go, they did what?
It's in that era, absolutely. Like, what a surprise for me for this film. But yeah, did you have an introduction for this film that you wanted to give the viewers a little peek behind the curtain?
Sure.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Stone, released June 28, 1974. This Australian film follows an undercover cop, Stone, investigating a series of murders of a motorcycle club, the Grave Diggers MC, members made up of Vietnam returned soldiers. Australia released 15 films in that year, including The Cars at 8 Paris. You've already done one of these movies, so here's another one from 1974.
There's our linkage.
It stars Sandy Harbert as the Undertaker. He also wrote the script, directed, produced, and even did production design. It was his baby. Other cast members include Ken Shorter, who played Stone, Vincent Gill, Dr. Death. Where else do we find him? He's in Mad Max.
A bunch of these guys are in Mad Max, yeah.
it.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of Mad Max alum. Or I guess in Mad Max there's a bunch of Stone alum.
Yeah, as we saw also Helen Morse, Bill Hunter, he's the iconic Australian actor.
Of course.
Rebecca Gilling, another one. Bindi Williams, First Nations actor.
Right. Oh, yes, right. Okay.
And Norman Gunston. Gary McDonald, he played the mechanic.
Oh, geez,
There's
right.
seeing all these people pop up. Hugh Keys Burns, who also...
He's toe cutter, and then he becomes Immortan Joe in Fury Road.
That's right. And another one, which is Roger Ward. He played one of the policemen in Stone. He also plays the captain in charge of in Mad Max.
Wow, okay, geez.
The guy who's trying to get Max to come back with the Interceptor.
Yeah.
Do you reckon George Miller just swiped the casting list of Stone and just started going down the Rolodex?
I reckon it's a mixture of A, these people already had experience with a motorbike,
Yes.
but B, also there's just that little actors in Australia that you didn't have much of
very
a
true.
pool to pick from.
Remember, you picked up one thing too, the connection to when Mad Max and Stone. The name of one of the characters.
Oh, there's a character called Bad Max.
Yeah.
I didn't even pick that.
So we watched this together last night
Sweet,
with
that's
my mom, who definitely did not fall asleep during this movie.
Fun-filled family viewing of Stone.
Exactly. I mean, we've watched worse, I think, together.
Fair enough.
We both looked to each other when we heard Mad, because we were just talking about Hugh Keays-Byrne being in Mad Max, and then we heard Bad Max, but as Mad Max, and it wasn't until the final credits where it said Bad Max, we went, oh, it wasn't bad. It's this close. It was very close. Out of curiosity, what month did this come out again? What you mentioned earlier? June. That's the same month that Cars at 8 Paris premiered.
Jeez, right.
At the Sydney Film Festival.
Maybe this was the same thing, same time.
Oh, maybe
both
Sydney
movies.
Film
Yeah.
Festival again, yeah.
The slate of Aussie films. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's comparisons to be made between the two films, but I think that this is where Cars at 8 Paris feels like taking the perspective of the hippie stoner generation.
Yes.
I think this film comes into it from that outsider perspective of, look at this crazed group or whatever. Let's have a little introspection as to what they're really like. It feels like a 60 Minutes interview. Do you know what I mean? Like he goes into it and it's this subculture that we don't know much about, but let's get a little bit deeper. Is that, I don't know.
Sandy Harbert himself, I looked up his filmography after the film was done, and he directed one movie, and it was this movie.
Yeah, right. I saw that as well.
And I'm just curious, and I wonder if you know this, Dad. He was a biker, right? Like he himself was part of that culture, or
Remember we started watching the documentary, the 1999 documentary,
yeah, that's true.
which was
there was a
25
doco
years.
behind it.
Yeah, there is a doco.
So Dad has the lovely Umbrella Blu-ray
Nice.
Ozploitation collection, and with that comes a few different behind the scenes stuff, including the full album of soundtrack.
That's sick.
I don't know if I want to call this as a good soundtrack, but it's definitely a noticeable one.
I would call it eclectic. I think it took every form of music and stuck it in a Vitamizer and went zzz.
That is very true. It's odd.
Someone got a Moog synthesizer and just went like absolutely nuts with it.
Absolutely.
Just,
There was two makings of. One was the actual original making of they made in 1973 when they were filming it.
Yes.
And then there's another one that's 25 years later in 1999.
Yes.
They came together to reenact the funeral scene from the start of the film where they drive along the Gosford Expressway.
Which is north of Sydney.
I want to, before we move on, because I'll forget to mention this. Matt, did you notice the cameraman standing in amongst the highway when they did a panning shot?
I didn't know. Dude.
I caught it and I went, wait, what was that? And I quickly was like, I'm sorry, Mom and Dad, please, hold on, I have to scroll back. I must
You
see this.
stopped the film. You were
I
like,
stopped the
let's
film to go back
rewind.
when they're doing a panning shot where they're following a bunch of the motorbikes driving down the highway, standing in on the rocks that divides the left and right lanes. There was just a cameraman, and you can see the camera, the guy who's the camera you're currently looking through. He catches him, and you can see him kind of rush that little sectional pan to get it off him as quick as possible. He's just standing there directly
Hey man,
in the
film is
way.
expensive
It's
back in
hard.
those
You
days.
couldn't
You
retake
gotta-
this. This is the type of stuff. There's a lot of stuff in this where you go, they had one shot to do this. It's so Mad Max.
It's
in that
very
way.
scrappy.
A lot of it you
Yeah.
can tell is just one shot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they had
100%.
one go at it and they didn't do it again because they couldn't afford to, or they didn't have the time to, or any of the above.
But like even in that like last scene where Stone's confronting the gang in the cemetery,
Mm.
the reverse shot over Stone's shoulder. The guy's just like out of focus.
Yeah.
Exploitation at its finest. It's just so scrappy and like, yeah.
And also, when they were doing the initiation, I reckon that would have been ad-libbed.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
When they're sticking the needle through his ear and stuff like that. And
Were you aware, Matthew, of the Hell's Angels involvement in this film?
I was not involved.
Dad, do you want to explain that?
It sounds very on the nose.
Yeah.
don't forget, this is a long time. This is 1973. I mean, it's then the Hells Angels was not a major corporation as it is now. And so it were bikers who got together and they were antisocial. They made their own laws, their own rules. Yeah, when Sandy actually put out the call in the newspaper saying, I want anybody on a motorbike, we want to go up the expressway, we'd like you to come in as extras. And the Hells Angels were there too, but they also apparently helped out in other places as well.
Like protection.
That and other things which they're very good at selling and passing on as well, I would say.
Oh, indeed, right, yes.
Well, I mean, the back of the box says Hell's Angels were paid in dope and beer.
Yes.
So Aussie. So Aussie.
I feel like every single time I hear about how these exploitation films were made, yeah, of course that's how it was done.
There's no Screen Australia production funding initiative here. This is all just like, can you do it on the weekend? Yeah, all right, let's go for it then. That type of vibe.
Matt, what's interesting is they did get some funding
from
the then Film Corporation. $154,000, I think it was. I've got it written here somewhere. But it made a pretty good profit. It made $1.5 million at box office in Australia.
Stone did pretty well, yeah.
That's a very, very good return.
Apparently the investors all received all the money back and extra in 6 months.
How times have changed.
Yeah.
For Australian films. Going back to the performances, I think the person that stands out for me in particular is Hugh Keays-Byrne. He's just such a presence in this film.
Yeah.
I think he's better in this film than in Mad Max, quite personally. That's my take.
I recently had a conversation with someone who had just recently seen Mad Max, the first one, and their takeaway from the film was they didn't like it, which I had to hold my tongue.
Yeah.
The second thing they said was they did not enjoy Hugh Keays-Byrne's performance in Mad Max 1, to which I said a lot of expletives.
Let's just say you're not on speaking terms anymore and they haven't been seen for many weeks.
Let's just say I told them you're making me very unhappy right now. What makes you enjoy this performance more, Matthew?
I don't know. I just feel like firstly he's given more to do in terms of dialogue and sort of like thing. Like,
there is more character here because Torikata is a caricature of just a crazy person who drives a motorbike, whereas this is actually a guy who drives a motorbike.
Especially the scene in the bar when he's threatening wannabe George Harrison looking guy.
Give me a kiss.
I feel intimidated in that moment watching him do that. The broodingness of the Australian character is epitomized in that scene, I think. He's not being explicitly hostile, aggressive in the way, but it could reach a boiling point. And I think he plays it with such a pensiveness that is just so enthralling to watch. And then like when he dies in the graveyard and he's just so sort of casual about it up until the moment when he eventually kicks the bucket. Yes. It's very Australian, the whole Australian macho thing with that inner insecurity and inner emotion. I don't know. It really spoke to me personally. You guys can disagree.
I think I like both performances for different reasons.
They're the opposite of each other, 100%.
Yeah, I can see why someone would have a preference with this one over the other one. I think I just enjoy the Torikata performance so much that I don't mind that it's quite shallow in quotation mark. But I do quite enjoy this. I quite like, and I think Dad and I, we commented on it when we were watching this, there's that part in the middle where they're all smoking dope or something, and sometimes their mouths are moving and sometimes they aren't when they're explaining the freedom of driving a motorbike. I was a bit hooked out during quite a bit of that. It was just a bit hard to relate to, but I think Hugh Keays-Byrne's part, he really sold that kind of monologue, that kind of style with the way he was describing things. What about you, Deb? What do you think?
I agree, but it's interesting. I looked into his background. He is actually from the Royal Shakespeare Company.
Yes, you can kind of tell from how he
has
enunciates.
That classically trained vibe about him.
Yes, and he came out here in 72 for a production of Midsummer's Night Dream. Loved the place, and he stayed.
So he's British by birth?
He's British and Royal Shakespeare Company.
Wow.
I would have loved to see him in Henry IV Part 1. Henry IV, it would have been the perfect Falstaff.
Yeah, he would have been great.
I do see that 100%. On top of that, like Bill Hunter, I mean, this is maybe his third film or something. For like it's early Bill Hunter.
Yeah.
Australian film, great. He was in Strictly Ballroom, Death in Brunswick, the later film resurgence in Australia. But like here, it's like Jackie Weaver in Picnic at Hanging Rock. It's like very unassuming that this person will become a legend.
Oh, and of course, and Helen Morse, she was in Picnic at Hanging Rock.
Yes, of course.
Clinton, when you watch this contemporarily,
Yes.
how did it compare to back in the day? I'm not sure how regularly, you've watched this film, but had your opinion on it changed or some standout thoughts?
It's like it's been thrown together and it's just haphazard.
Mm-hmm.
But that adds to the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Especially like the stunts, especially when the motorcycle drives off the cliff into the ocean. But at the same time, there's some really daggy bits. Mitchell and I were talking about the blood. So artificial.
that's-
The blood-
yeah, very-
Not only was the blood artificial, but the pattern on his chin changed from shot to shot.
I loved the guy that got blown through the chest, and now he's just got like a little volcano coming out of the back of his body. Like,
And not only that, he has the strength to stand up and spit on a statue of an angel.
being blown through the chest.
I loved that guy. That was probably my second favorite character behind Toad.
Yeah.
Just the guy
That
with
was
the insane hat. He was crazy.
Vincent Gill. who
Vincent
also
Gill.
was in
Oh,
it.
Dr. Death. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
No, I loved
He
him.
you could see he was having so much fun playing that part.
Yeah.
They're just having so much fun doing it.
Oh shit! Vincent Gill was the Knight Rider in Mad Max.
That's right.
They had just 5 people and Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson came onto that set. Everyone was like best buds. He was like the new kid at school.
No
Just trying
wonder
to,
why
like,
he turned mean, dude. He just felt bullied and left out.
But it's rough. But that adds to the character.
It does. No, I think that's something I'm starting to really love about Ozploitation. It's just kind of, in the nicest way possible, how garbage it is.
Yeah.
It's so endearing to watch these people who don't have the backing of Hollywood. They don't have the funding.
Yeah.
They don't have the ability to do what Hollywood's doing, across the world at this point in time. They're just like, you know what? We want to make movies.
Yeah, we got a camera.
We don't really know how to do it. It feels like I could do this. And not in like the sense that like there's skill in here that I don't have, but it just feels like
Yes.
this is something that's possible for anyone to do.
Feels within reach. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels within reach in comparison to in the 1970s you had Star Wars, which I guess is like kind of doable, but still that's kind of insane and still backed by the Hollywood
System. Yeah.
and all that. So it's just I'm loving it, and I'm growing to find Ozploitation is kind of my favorite genre. There's definitely drawbacks in certain things that I find a bit unpalatable.
Yes.
Certain levels of nudity
and sexism.
and sexism.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Very big
Yeah.
sexism.
That those aren't parts that I enjoy, but I think as a person who wants to make film, I find these very enjoyable and very, I think beautiful is probably the word I'd use. Just they're so gorgeous.
Yeah, I see that 100%. It is the scrappiness of it that is part and parcel with the character of it. I think what really draws me into this film and then also Ozploitation is just how overt it is with its political messaging. I mean,
Yeah.
like the whole divide between police authority and this
Yes.
carefree flower power group that really has a violent underbelly. It's
Yes.
just so explicit, whereas in modern cinema it would be done through like an allegory or like it would be only like hinted at, or they'd spend 20 minutes talking about it and never bring it up again. Here it's an ongoing theme throughout the film, and I like how they toy with the idea that relations can be built, but then it just comes crashing down in that final moment where
'Cause
Stone
he-
gets
Yes.
absolutely
Because of the choice he
wrecked.
makes. Yeah. It's not funny, but I did laugh during that last bit just because of how shocking it is. It's not because
Yeah.
I found
Yes.
it actually funny. It's just,
Yeah.
whoa. I mean, Dad, when you saw this movie and that ending happened, is there stuff like that? Or was that kind of like a shock?
It was a shock. I mean, again, I reckon they just spilled all the whatever artificial blood they had left over. They just poured
Yeah,
it
they're
all
like,
over
this is
it.
the
Yeah.
final scene.
It's
We've
like,
got
go
some left
nuts with
over. Just
Yeah.
dump it on him. Yeah.
A couple of liters, let's dump it on. But also, like, you faintly see it, but on his left cheek, you can see it's damaged and the skin's
There was
like being...
actual makeup on there done properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what- yeah. And I'm thinking, they beat the crap out of him
It
just for
was
this one.
quite horrific.
It's not like it comes completely out of nowhere, because you get these scenes where his wife or girlfriend partner is like
Yeah.
talking about them while playing tennis. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
oh, he's gallivanting with those little hippie people. And it's just like,
Yes.
obviously, this relationship that he's making with these people, it can't last, because at the end of the day, he has his binary objective. It's shocking, but it's set up well, I think.
I was interested in thinking of other biking movies.
Absolutely.
The classic one everybody knows is Easy Rider from 1969.
Yes.
Have you seen that movie?
I have. It's definitely some influence on Stone. I reckon.
Yeah, the idea of the loners and what they do. But the other one, the earliest one, of course, is The Wild One, 1953, with Marlon Brando. That was the first bikie movie where you've got these anti-social groups of people and they will not conform.
But I think there's just something interesting about how in this year we got two different exploitation films that kind of directly tie into the Vietnam War. One with there possibly is even more that we just don't know of.
So this would tie in with 1972 when the Labour Party came in, because the first thing they did was they got all the army out of Vietnam. They got all military out. They cancelled it.
Abolished conscription and all that. Yeah,
correct.
Yeah.
It was a massive social change at all levels. I mean, they made university free. Then Bob Hawke in 1989 put Hex into it. So I think again that affects what you're seeing here. You're seeing a total change of freedom.
What do you think the film's stance is on these characters? Because it's a little bit ambiguous. I think they're humanized, but they're sort of the anti-hero. That's at least my perspective. Yeah. What do you guys reckon the stance is?
Matt, I totally agree with you. It's about here a group who's organized. They're a society all by themselves, but it's completely divergent from their normal society. They have rules, they follow the rules, you break the rules, you're punished. That's society.
Yeah. I feel as if the movie in a way condemns them, but not in the sense that it condemns them for their actions or for anything like that, but more in the literal sense condemns them to a violent end. It doesn't really give an opinion on whether these people are correct or not. It just kind of says these are people, but it does say if you choose this lifestyle, you're likely to end up dying horribly and violently because you're living a life of violence and a life outside the natural protection of the law. So I think the film's more just expressing the conclusion of living a life like this rather than saying whether or not this is the correct way to live or not.
Yeah, right. It doesn't really pick a side. It just shows, I guess.
I'd be interested, and Dad, since you lived through this era, maybe you'll know a bit more about it. Was that kind of the perceived notion of how these people kind of like very violent lives, very violent ends?
Yes. We've got Hell's Angels just down the road from us. Their major headquarters down in Elphington. I used to drive past it very often, and every now and then it would be surrounded by cop cars, and they're doing another raid. Jeez. One of my aunties who used to live up in the bush, the bikies used to go to the local pubs all the time, so you see them up there, and they group together, and they're outsiders, they want to be outsiders, and they don't want to be interfered with. We have our society, bugger off. We don't want to know you. They don't want to talk to you. They don't want to do anything.
That actually reminds me of that section in the middle when Stone's talking to different establishments, and there's the burger joint and the nightclub, and they're very positive towards the Gravediggers because they bring in more people to look at them at the burger joint. And then the other one, it's the only nightclub now that doesn't pay protection money because the Gravediggers beat the crap out of the protection racket. But then also, obviously, there's just the fact that they do a lot of crappy stuff throughout the film. They do a lot of they're violent and they're intimidating and they ultimately beat the crap out of our audience stand-in.
Who, by the way, looks like he's about to cry in every single scene.
He really
did. Maybe it's his upper lip or something. He's just so sad.
There's another actor that does that, and I can't remember who it is. I guess he's got like the Elijah Wood face.
I see that. I do see that. Yeah.
It's just interesting that the film, it shows the positives and negatives of having such a facet of society. And I think it ultimately just portrays them as complex people.
The reason why I ask about that is because like the film itself starts with a political assassination. And I think he's like a pro-environmentalist individual. I understand like if it was going for pro-flower power, pro-hippie movement, why would it start with this moment? Maybe I missed something. What do you like that opening?
I totally agree with you, Matt, because I feel that was lost. To me, that was just an opening scene for the rest of the story, and they just basically forgot about it from that point. There's an assassin out there who's knocking them off one by one because they saw the actual assassin.
Or Hugh Keys-Byrne saw him, Yeah,
but that's lost in it. That becomes unimportant. I think they should have spent more time about that, about the actual environmental thing, because Sydney's very interesting for its development time because a lot of buildings were knocked down until the BLF, I think it was the BLF, got involved, and they said, no, we're not knocking down any more buildings. And that's why in Melbourne you have a lot of old buildings still in the city, whereas Sydney you don't, because they just literally any old building was just obliterated for the sake of progress.
As far as I'm aware, we watched the director's cut. Which is actually 30 minutes shorter than the theatrical cut. I'm wondering if something was more prevalent in the theatrical cut because we're missing 30 minutes. I think we said we were going to watch the theatrical cut maybe at the end of the last episode, but just what was available was the director's cut instead.
Yeah, I watched it on Broly and that had the 99-minute cut.
And Broly's the Umbrella
streaming service.
So it'd probably be the
Plug
same.
to Umbrella. You got the Blu-ray. I watched on Broly. We're all shills here.
Love Umbrella. They're great. Love those guys. I agree with you guys. I think the film doesn't do a good enough job implementing that opening assassination / the opening kills on those bikers into the rest of the plot. Obviously, like nothing happens without that, but it doesn't feel like it continues throughout. It very feels like it's dropped. And then about 20 minutes towards the end, you get a random board meeting with the assassin appears again, and it's a bit up in the air what's kind of really going on. But what my read on that was the hippie flower person who got shot, the politician. He wasn't actually a hippie. He was just a politician, but he was very green forward politician. Yeah. There's a bunch of signs saying less highways, more parks, stuff like that.
Adam Band vibes.
He gets shot, and I think he is kind of the flip side of the bikers. So I think they're the same coin. It's both counterculture, but I think the film is saying one counterculture is not tough enough to hold it against society.
Yeah, right.
And whereas the other counterculture, since its basis is in violence, it can combat the violence that comes at it. Because ultimately, they win against the assassins that tried to kill the guy.
Again, if you look at the beginning, when the bikies all turn up, they're also anti the environment.
That's it. Yes, exactly. They're calling out to it. They're calling him names and stuff. They're saying you're. I don't know if they said you're a pussy, but they basically call him a pussy.
Yeah, and throwing cans and everything. They were disruptive. They disrupt society.
They're missing out on the fact that these are actually allies to them in a way.
Yeah,
but
it's very nuanced. Like because obviously,
am I giving this movie too much? Actually,
I think you are for an exploitation movie. Yeah,
that's what we're here for. We're here to dig deep when there's no substance.
Just keep digging, even if there's no diamonds.
Exactly.
Dig the whole fool's gold.
Yeah.
Look, man, I loved Stone. I'd never heard of it before. I act like I know more about exploitation than I actually do. So I think this was like a really great sort of. I wouldn't even say it's a hidden gem because it did really well, but like it's a film that doesn't really even get talked about.
I don't think it's in this discourse that much. Yeah, I feel like it's got lost to time a bit. Yeah, is there any other quick facts you want to throw out, Dad, before we go?
The only thing is it was never released in America.
Pretty on brand for an exploitation film.
But it still made 1.8 mil in Australia. Yeah. That's fantastic.
Yeah. It went to England, Japan, and Germany.
Throwback to when Australians went and saw Australian films.
Yeah, let's go to Japan. Oh God, leave where we can see Stone in Japan. Japanese, wonderful.
Actually, that was what was really cool. Actually, the Umbrella Blu-ray has on the cover different posters. So the front cover is the Australian poster, I think, and then the cover of the actual case, the front cover is the German one, and the back cover is the Japanese one. It's very fun.
I love that.
Umbrella does some fun stuff. They do some very fun things.
They really do. It's like the Film and Sound Archive in Canberra. On the walls, they have posters for all these different Australian films, but they're the international posters.
That's very fun.
Different languages, like Russian, Kazakh, like all different languages. And
I think it's really fun to look at the posters that are put out for different countries. You actually get a sense of different political stances and stuff like that. I think that's a very interesting case study. Go take a gander at the American poster for Force Awakens, and then take a look at the Chinese poster for Force Awakens.
See what races are omitted from the poster.
What specific person gets removed or taken out of that poster?
It's John Boyega. It's Finn. It's the black actor.
The black man gets removed.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. I haven't seen it.
It's quite blatant.
I think the final one as well, where they have the same-sex kiss, that was removed from the film in China.
Yeah, well, that's pretty classic. A lot of Disney woke LGBTQ stuff is 2-second clips that are easily taken out of the film without ruining the rest of the cut. Therefore, they can sell it to countries in the Middle East and countries in Asia that don't like same-sex stuff. It's so woke and progressive of them. They're so cool. They're definitely here for you, LGBTQ people. Disney love you. You're not just money to them.
You're just a brick in the Disney Lego set.
That is exactly what you are. A colorful brick in the Disney Lego set.
But it's the wrong color.
That's not the color they like. Well, not in the specific cultures, at least. Anyway, Dad, would you mind telling us what you believe is the number one Australian thing about Stone?
Oh, it has to be the nudity.
Absolutely.
Yep, I say that. I say that.
Name an Australian movie when there's no nudity. It's not an Australian movie.
That's why Apex didn't do well. Not enough nudity. We didn't see Taron Egerton's hog.
Oh, but we saw his butt, though. We saw his butt.
Yeah, but we didn't see hog, did we?
Not that I'm looking or anything.
I was looking.
That's it. But yes, there is a lot of parts in this movie, if you know what I'm saying. You know,
A lot of moving parts, yes.
that's it. Yeah.
All of the above.
I'm here for it. It's not specific to a gender. Go for it, mate.
Gets the Under Southern Screens Equal Nudity Award.
No, equal exploitation award.
Equal
yes.
exploitation award. Yeah, that's it.
I
That's
see
it.
that.
I
I
like
see
that.
that.
That's good stuff.
We exploit anyone and everyone.
Well, you can tell us more about the penises and boobs you want to see on TikTok, Instagram, and Threads at Under Southern Screens Pod.
They might not be able to. They might breach the terms of service.
Only
to
if
be
they
quite-
post it. If you send us a DM, it's fine.
Don't send us a DM with your...
don't send us dicks or boobs, please.
No, thank you.
That's a business account, all right? If also you can send us anything you kind of really want at undersouthernscreenspod@gmail.com. However, we would prefer either reviews of films or just general recommendations for films you'd like to see in the future.
Rate the podcast as well.
Rate
Give
the
it
podcast,
a good
yep.
old 5 stars.
5 stars.
Do what you like. I mean, this episode has been a solid 5 stars because we have Clint and Mitch's dad in here in the flesh.
Once again, the guest has upstaged us, proving how clever they are.
No, that shows what brilliant hosts you are. You let people shine.
Oh, you can come back.
Oh, yeah. No, Clinton, sincerely, thank you so much for coming onto the pod. You've been a ray of sunshine, as always. You know, it's been so fun to talk about Stone with you.
Thank you very much from both of you inviting us. It's been an absolute ball, and you're both fantastic people. Great people.
Thank you.
Thank
That's
you.
very
That's so-
nice.
I wasn't expecting that at all. Thank you. It was very sweet.
I'm tearing up.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, that's
Like father, like son.
Mitch is like, I feel so seen. It's like, thanks, Dad.
Thanks, Dad. You're embarrassing me. Gosh. No. Matthew, what film are we watching next week?
We are watching the 2009 musical Brand New Day. It is a Indigenous Australian film that is pretty cool, pretty crazy and fun
Heck
and
yeah.
wild.
Matthew loves torturing me with musicals. He enjoys it.
You gotta get into it, man. You gotta get into it.
You're on a quest to make me enjoy musicals, and I
It's
respect
actually true.
that.
This will be our 3rd musical.
Are we counting Strictly Ballroom?
No,
it's not
actually,
really a
that's
musical. That's a
second. Yeah,
dancing
to-
film. There's
to
no
be
singing
fair.
in that, though.
I'm looking forward to it either way.
I don't think there's anything else. Besides, Dad, do you want to say our outro?
Okay, you ready? Okay, grave diggers, keep an eye out for the Under the Southern Screens coming to a bike shed near you. Oi, give me my beer.
That's awesome. Thanks,
Incredible. Thank you so
Awesome.
much, Dad. That was incredible. I loved it.
See ya. Thanks for listening to another episode of Under Southern Screens. We'll be back next week to talk more films down under. We just want to attribute that our opening title is Heavy Duty by Zoo, and our closing title is Heavyweight by Fell Creek. Thanks so much for listening, and Mitch and I will see you in the next episode. See you next time. Under Southern Screens would like to acknowledge the stolen lands on which this podcast is recorded and produced, and pay tribute to the Wurundjeri and Woiwurrung people of the Kulin Nation and Camaragal people of the Eora Nation.
Sovereignty was never ceded, and we pay respect to all Indigenous elders past, present, and emerging. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land.